Before you try to build a strong career, before you chase a strong body, before you pray for a strong future, build a strong mind first, because a weak mind will break even in a good life, and a strong mind can survive even a difficult one. My dear friends, many of you are graduating today with dreams in your eyes and pressure on your shoulders. Pressure to succeed, pressure to prove yourself, pressure to not fail. You are entering a world that is loud, fast, and demanding. A world that will constantly test you, not on how talented you are, but on how mentally strong you are. Life will not ask you, "Are you ready?" Life will ask, "Are you resilient?" And that is why, before anything else, you must build a strong mind first. Most people believe life is fighting them. They think the world is unfair, people are difficult, situations are against them. But very few pause long enough to realize this simple truth. The first battlefield is not outside, it is inside the mind. Every single day, before the world even touches you, your mind has already decided how the day will feel. Two people can wake up under the same roof, face the same weather, work in the same office. One feels hopeful, the other feels miserable, not because life treated them differently, but because their minds interpreted life differently. The mind is a powerful storyteller. It can turn a small setback into a disaster. It can turn a delay into a defeat. It can turn one mistake into an identity. And if the mind is untrained, it becomes the loudest enemy you will ever face. Most of our exhaustion is not physical, it is mental. We replay conversations that are already over. We worry about futures that haven't arrived. We carry guilt from the past and anxiety about tomorrow, forgetting that peace only lives in the present. A weak mind reacts instantly. Someone says something, it explodes. Something doesn't go as planned, it collapses. One failure, and it starts questioning self-worth. But a strong mind pauses. It creates space between what happens and how you respond. And in that space lies freedom. When you train the mind, you stop being a slave to emotions. You don't deny feelings, you understand them. You don't suppress thoughts, you observe them. You begin to realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the one watching them. That awareness alone changes everything. Because the moment you stop identifying with every thought, the mind loses its power to control you. Anger comes, you see it. Fear comes, you acknowledge it. Doubt comes, you question it. And slowly, the mind learns discipline. A strong mind does not mean a mind without negativity. It means a mind that does not live in negativity. Just like clouds pass through the sky, thoughts pass through the mind. The sky is not disturbed by the clouds, but when you forget you are the sky, you start believing you are the storm. Life will challenge you, that is guaranteed. But here is the difference. When the mind is weak, challenges become trauma. When the mind is strong, challenges become training. The same pressure that bursts a pipe also shapes a diamond. The pressure didn't change, the structure did. Building a strong mind means choosing inner mastery over outer control. You stop trying to change everyone. You stop trying to fix everything. You start working on yourself. Because once the mind is steady, even chaos cannot shake you. This is why ancient wisdom always emphasized inner strength before outer success. Because success without mental stability leads to arrogance, fear, and emptiness. And failure without mental strength leads to bitterness and despair. A strong mind teaches you humility when you win and courage when you lose. It teaches you to listen more than react, to understand more than judge, to breathe before speaking. And most importantly, it teaches you patience. Patience is not weakness. Patience is power under control. When the mind is trained, you don't rush decisions. You don't panic under pressure. You don't abandon values for validation. You move with clarity. You speak with intention. you act with purpose, and gradually, people around you notice something different. Not noise, not aggression, but calm confidence. That calm is not accidental, it is earned through awareness, earned through reflection, earned through choosing peace over ego again and again. So before you ask life to change, before you ask people to understand you, before you ask the world to be kinder, ask yourself one question: how strong is my mind? Because if you win this inner battle, you don't need to fear the outer world. This is where the journey begins. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act. They wait for inspiration. They wait for the perfect mood. They wait for confidence to arrive. But life does not reward waiting. Life rewards discipline. Motivation is emotional. It depends on how you feel. And feelings change every single day. Some mornings you wake up inspired. Some mornings you wake up tired. Some days you believe in yourself. Some days you doubt everything. If your growth depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. A strong mind understands this early. Motivation excites you, but discipline carries you. Discipline is doing what is right, even when it is uncomfortable. Even when no one is clapping. Even when results are invisible. Discipline is spiritual strength. It is waking up and doing your duty, not because you feel like it, but because it aligns with who you want to become. A weak mind asks, "Do I feel good today?" A strong mind asks, "What is required of me today?" There is a huge difference. When discipline becomes your foundation, you stop negotiating with excuses. You don't say, "I'll try," you say, "I will." You don't depend on mood. You depend on commitment. And commitment builds character. Think about it. Every meaningful transformation in life comes from repeated actions, not emotional highs. A student becomes excellent, not by studying only when inspired, but by showing up daily consistently. A healthy body is built, not by one intense workout, but by small disciplined habits practiced over time. The same is true for the mind. Mental strength is not built in dramatic moments, it is built in ordinary moments. When you choose discipline over comfort, when you sit to work instead of scrolling, when you stay calm instead of reacting, when you choose silence instead of argument, when you keep going instead of quitting. These moments seem small, but they shape your future. Discipline trains the mind to tolerate discomfort, and discomfort is the doorway to growth. A mind that has never learned discipline panics when things get hard, but a disciplined mind says, "I have been here before, I can handle this." Discipline also teaches humility. You realize you are not special enough to escape effort. You realize growth is not magical, it is methodical. Day by day, step by step, action by action. And slowly, something beautiful happens. You stop relying on external validation. You stop chasing applause. You stop needing constant encouragement. Because discipline builds self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, your confidence grows quietly. Not loud confidence, not arrogant confidence, but deep, grounded confidence. The kind that doesn't shake when criticized. The kind that doesn't inflate when praised. This is the confidence that comes from integrity. A disciplined mind also brings peace, because when you know you have done your best, the mind rests. An undisciplined mind is always anxious. Am I doing enough? Did I miss something? What if I fail? A disciplined mind says, I did my duty. The rest is not in my hands. And that surrender brings calm. Discipline does not make life rigid. It makes life reliable. It gives structure to chaos. It gives direction to energy. Without discipline, talent is wasted. With discipline, even average ability becomes extraordinary. This is why inner strength is not loud. It is quiet consistency. So don't pray for motivation every day. Pray for discipline. because motivation will come and go, but discipline will stay with you through tired days, difficult seasons, and uncertain futures. And when discipline becomes your lifestyle, your mind stops asking for permission. Scion to grow, it simply grows. This is how strength is built, not in bursts, but in balance. Then let us go deeper into a lesson many people avoid, yet every strong mind eventually learns. Most people are afraid of being alone, not physically alone, emotionally alone. Silence makes them uncomfortable, stillness makes them restless. Being with themselves feels heavy, so they keep the noise on: music, screens, conversations, validation, anything to avoid sitting with their own thoughts. But a strong mind is not built in noise, it is built in solitude. There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is the absence of people. Solitude is the presence of self. When you don't know yourself, being alone feels like punishment. But when you understand yourself, being alone feels like peace. The mind needs silence the way the body needs rest. Without it, you may keep moving, but you are never really healing. In solitude, the mind stops performing. It stops pretending. It stops seeking approval. There is no audience, no comparison, no pressure to impress, only the truth. And truth is uncomfortable at first. Because in silence, unresolved emotions rise, unhealed wounds speak, ignored fears knock on the door. This is why people escape solitude. Not because it is empty, but because it is honest. A weak mind runs from that honesty. A strong mind sits with it. It listens. It observes patterns. Why certain things trigger you? Why certain fears repeat? Why certain desires keep returning? Solitude turns the mind inward, and inward is where clarity lives. This is where you begin to separate who you really are from who the world told you to be. When you spend time alone, you stop outsourcing your worth. You no longer need people to constantly reassure you. You no longer panic when messages go unanswered. You no longer chase attention to feel alive, because your mind learns to self-regulate. A strong mind does not depend on external noise to feel complete. And something powerful happens when you become comfortable alone. Your relationships improve. You stop clinging. You stop demanding. You stop expecting others to fill your emptiness. You give freely, not desperately. You listen without insecurity. You love without fear of abandonment. You walk away without hatred when needed. Because solitude teaches emotional maturity. In silence, the mind also learns humility. You realize how small you are in the grand scheme of life, how temporary success is, how fragile ego can be, and that humility creates space for faith. Because when the mind is quiet, you can hear a deeper voice, the voice of conscience, the voice of wisdom, the voice of God, not dramatic, not loud, but steady. A strong mind is connected, not distracted. Solitude also sharpens focus. When you are constantly surrounded by opinions, your mind becomes confused. Everyone tells you what success should look like, how fast you should grow, where you should be by now. Solitude hears that noise. It helps you ask better questions. What do I value? What kind of life do I want to live? What kind of person do I want to become? And once the mind answers honestly, decisions become simpler. You stop chasing everything. You start choosing intentionally. Solitude doesn't make you antisocial. It makes you selective. You begin to protect your energy, your time, your peace. Because a strong mind understands that not every invitation deserves a yes, and not every opinion deserves attention. Silence trains the mind to slow down, and a slowed down mind sees clearly. You notice beauty in simple moments. You appreciate small blessings. You become less reactive, more reflective. The mind becomes a friend, not an enemy. And perhaps the most important gift solitude gives is this: you stop fearing yourself. When you can sit alone without restlessness, when you can face your thoughts without panic, when you can enjoy your own company, you become unshakable, because the world can leave you, people can misunderstand you, plans can collapse, but you are still whole. A strong mind is at home within itself, and once you build that inner home, no external chaos can make you homeless inside. This is not isolation, this is inner strength, and from this strength, everything else begins to align. Most people are careful about what they eat. They read labels, they avoid junk when they want to be healthy, but very few are careful about what they consume mentally. And yet, the mind digests everything you expose it to. Every conversation you engage in, every video you watch, every thought you repeat, every opinion you absorb. Nothing is neutral. If you constantly feed the mind chaos, don't be surprised when it feels restless. If you constantly feed the mind negativity, don't be surprised when it feels heavy. The mind becomes what it repeatedly consumes. A weak mind consumes without awareness. It scrolls endlessly. It listens to gossip. It absorbs fear, comparison, outrage, and then wonders why it feels anxious and empty. A strong mind is selective, not arrogant, not judgmental, selective. It understands that mental energy is sacred. When you expose your mind to constant comparison, you start living someone else's life. When you expose your mind to constant negativity, you start expecting disappointment. When you expose your mind to constant noise, you lose the ability to think deeply. A strong mind protects its input because it respects its output. You cannot expect clarity if your mind is constantly polluted. Just like dirty water cannot produce healthy crops, a polluted mind cannot produce peaceful thoughts. And the danger is, mental junk feels harmless, just a few minutes, just for entertainment. Everyone is watching this. But habits are formed silently. What you consume once may not affect you. What you consume daily shapes you, slowly, subtly, without permission. This is why guarding the mind is not restriction. It is self-respect. A strong mind chooses content that elevates, not depletes. Conversations that inspire, not drain. Information that educates, not agitates. Entertainment that refreshes, not numbs. This doesn't mean you avoid reality. It means you don't marinate in negativity. You stay informed, not obsessed, aware, not addicted. The mind also consumes words, the words you speak to others, and the words you speak to yourself. If your inner dialogue is harsh, critical, or hopeless, no amount of external success will bring peace. A strong mind speaks to itself with honesty and compassion, firm but kind, realistic but hopeful. Not "I'm not good enough, but I'm growing," not "I always fail, but I'm learning." The language of the mind shapes its reality. And then there are influences. People you spend time with, energy transfers. Spend time with bitterness, you absorb bitterness. Spend time with gratitude, you absorb gratitude. A strong mind doesn't need to cut everyone off. It simply limits exposure, because you don't need to fight every battle to protect your peace. Sometimes distance is wisdom, and when the mind is fed well, something beautiful happens. Clarity increases, focus sharpens, emotional stability deepens. You become less reactive to external chaos because your inner world is nourished. Your decisions improve because your thinking improves. Your faith deepens because distractions reduce. The mind becomes quiet enough to recognize the truth, to recognize what matters, to recognize what doesn't. And here is the most powerful shift. You stop outsourcing your mental state to the world. You don't let headlines decide your mood. You don't let opinions decide your worth. You don't let trends decide your direction. You decide. That is, mental strength. You realize peace is not found, it is protected, and protection begins with awareness. Every time you choose what to consume, you are choosing who you are becoming. So choose wisely, because your future self is being shaped by what your mind is digesting today. Everyone wants a strong mind, but no one wants the experiences that create it. We pray for comfort, stability, and ease. But strength is rarely born in comfort. Pain is not an accident in life. It is a curriculum. The question is not whether pain will come. The question is what the mind does when it arrives. A weak mind asks, "Why is this happening to me?" and collapses into self-pity. A strong mind asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" and rises into wisdom. Pain exposes the truth of the mind. When things go wrong, your inner foundation is revealed. If the mind is fragile, pain turns into bitterness. If the mind is strong, pain turns into depth. Most people try to escape pain as quickly as possible. They distract themselves, they numb themselves, they pretend nothing happened. But unprocessed pain doesn't disappear, it hides, and hidden pain controls behavior. It leaks out as anger, as fear, as insecurity, as mistrust. A strong mind does not rush healing. It allows pain to be felt. Without becoming the pain, there is a difference. Feeling pain is human. Becoming pain is a choice. When you sit with pain consciously, without running from it, it begins to soften. It begins to teach. Pain humbles you. It breaks arrogance. It dissolves ego. It reminds you how fragile control really is. And humility is the soil where wisdom grows. Pain also deepens compassion. When you have suffered, you stop judging others so quickly. You become gentle with people's mistakes because you understand how hard life can be. This is why the strongest minds are often the kindest hearts. They have been broken, but not destroyed. Pain also strengthens faith. When life is smooth, faith feels optional. But when life shakes you, faith becomes an anchor. Not faith that demands answers, but faith that trusts purpose. You realize you may not understand why something happened, but you believe it didn't happen without meaning. This surrender doesn't weaken the mind, it stabilizes it. A strong mind learns to separate pain from identity. You are not your heartbreak. You are not your failure. You are not your worst moment. Pain is something you experience, not something you are. And this realization is powerful because when pain no longer defines you, it cannot control you. The mind also learns resilience through pain. Resilience is not toughness, it is flexibility. A rigid mind breaks, a flexible mind bends and survives. Pain teaches the mind to adapt. Plans change, people leave, dreams shift, and the mind learns to let go without losing itself. This is not detachment from life, this is maturity. A strong mind doesn't cling desperately to what was. It accepts what is and prepares for what can be. Pain also sharpens gratitude. When you have experienced loss, you value presence. When you have experienced failure, you value effort. When you have experienced loneliness, you value connection. Pain refines appreciation. You stop taking life for granted. Even small joys become sacred. A sunrise, a kind word, a moment of peace. The mind becomes sensitive to blessings, and perhaps the greatest gift pain gives is depth. Without pain, the mind remains shallow. Success alone doesn't mature you. Applause doesn't strengthen you. Ease doesn't transform you. Pain does. It strips away illusions. It reveals what truly matters. And if the mind allows it, pain becomes a teacher, not an enemy, not a punishment, but preparation, reparation for greater responsibility, greater empathy, greater purpose. So don't rush to escape pain. Walk through it consciously. Let it shape you, not harden you. Because a strong mind is not built by avoiding suffering, but by transforming it. Most people think gratitude is emotional. In truth, gratitude is mental strength. A weak mind focuses on what is missing. A strong mind focuses on what is meaningful. The problem is not that people don't have enough. The problem is that the mind is trained to notice what it lacks instead of what it has been given, and whatever the mind focuses on begins to feel like reality. When the mind constantly counts problems, life feels heavy. When the mind learns to count blessings, life feels supported. Gratitude does not mean denying struggle, it means not letting struggle blind you. A strong mind can acknowledge pain and still say, I am thankful, thankful for lessons, thankful for growth, thankful for the strength to continue. Gratitude shifts the mind from survival to perspective. You stop asking, why is life doing this to me? You start asking, what is life teaching me? And that shift changes everything. Gratitude grounds the mind in the present. An ungrateful mind is always elsewhere, regretting the past or worrying about the future. A grateful mind is rooted in now. Now I am breathing. Now I am learning. Now I am alive. This awareness calms the mind. An anxious mind is often an ungrateful mind. Not because life is bad, but because attention is misplaced. Gratitude trains attention. It teaches the mind to notice support. Instead of scarcity, you begin to see how much effort has already gone into your life, from parents, teachers, friends, strangers, and forces you cannot see. This realization humbles the mind. You stop feeling entitled. You start feeling entrusted. And a mind that feels entrusted lives with responsibility. Gratitude also dissolves comparison. When you are grateful, you stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. You realize your journey is unique. Your timing is different. Your path is personal. Comparison weakens the mind because it steals joy. Gratitude strengthens the mind because it multiplies joy. The mind cannot be grateful and miserable at the same time. It also cannot be grateful and arrogant at the same time. Gratitude keeps success from poisoning the mind. When achievements come, a grateful mind stays grounded. It says, this is not only my effort, many unseen hands made this possible. That awareness protects you from pride, from the fear of losing everything. Because when you know life is a gift, you stop clinging and start contributing. Gratitude also increases resilience. When the mind knows it has survived before, it believes it can survive again. You remember past struggles, past breakthroughs, past moments when you thought you wouldn't make it, but you did. That memory strengthens faith. Gratitude turns memory into courage. It reminds the mind, I have been supported before, I will be supported again. This is not blind optimism. This is lived trust. Gratitude also deepens relationships. A grateful mind notices effort. It sees intention. It values presence. And when people feel appreciated, connections grow stronger. A strong mind does not take love for granted. It expresses thanks, not out of obligation, but out of awareness. And perhaps the most powerful aspect of gratitude is that it quiets the ego. The ego asks, what do I deserve? Gratitude asks, what can I give? And when the mind shifts from entitlement to service, peace follows naturally, because happiness is not found in accumulating more, but in appreciating what already exists. So train your mind in gratitude, not only when life is good, but especially when life is difficult, because gratitude in difficulty is not denial, it is strength. And when gratitude becomes a habit of the mind, the final lesson becomes possible. Learning how surrender brings the deepest peace of all. Not surrender out of helplessness, but surrender out of wisdom. A weak mind wants control over everything: people, outcomes, timing, results, and when control slips, fear rises. An anxious mind is often a controlling mind, trying to manage what was never meant to be managed. A strong mind understands a sacred boundary. There is effort and there is outcome. Your responsibility ends at effort. You can prepare with sincerity. You can work with discipline. You can act with integrity. But results are shaped by many forces: timing, circumstances, other people, and a higher order beyond human understanding. Surrender begins when the mind accepts this truth, not passively, not lazily, but peacefully. A strong mind gives its best and releases the rest. This release is not weakness, it is emotional intelligence, because clinging to outcomes creates suffering. When the mind says, "It must happen this way," life often says, "Let me teach you flexibility." Surrender teaches flexibility. You stop breaking when plans change. You stop collapsing when expectations are unmet. You adapt, you adjust, you continue. This adaptability is strength. Surrender also deepens faith, not faith that demands guarantees, but faith that trusts meaning. You realize you don't need to understand everything to move forward. You only need to trust that your sincere effort will not go to waste. Even detours carry lessons. Even delays carry protection. Even endings carry beginnings. A strong mind rests in this trust. This trust quiets fear. Fear exists when the mind believes it is alone. Surrender reminds the mind that it is supported by something greater than ego, intelligence, or planning. And when the mind feels supported, it relaxes. Relaxation does not mean inaction, it means clarity without panic. Surrender also heals perfectionism. Perfectionism is often disguised fear: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. A surrendered mind says, "I will do my best, and that is enough." This mindset brings peace. You stop being harsh with yourself. You stop punishing yourself for being human, and compassion grows toward yourself and others. Surrender also strengthens humility. You realize how little is truly in your control. Success no longer inflates you. Failure no longer destroys you. You stay grounded because your identity is no longer tied to outcomes. It is tied to values, and values are stable. A strong mind lives by principles, not by results. Surrender also gives courage. Paradoxically, when you let go of outcome obsession, you take braver actions because fear of failure no longer paralyzes you. You try, you risk, you speak truth, you walk your path, even if the result is uncertain, because peace is no longer postponed. Until success arrives, peace is present in effort itself. And this is the highest mental strength: to work fully, love deeply, serve sincerely, without being imprisoned by expectation. This is freedom. So as you step into life, remember, train your mind through awareness, strengthen it through discipline, stabilize it through solitude, protect it through conscious consumption, deepen it through pain, soften it through gratitude, and finally, free it through surrender. When the mind is strong, life may still challenge you, but it will not break you, because peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of trust, and a mind that trusts walks through life steady, humble, and unafraid. This is not just mental strength. This is inner freedom. And from this freedom, a meaningful life naturally unfolds. Life will not always be kind to you. There will be days when effort feels invisible. There will be moments when your prayers feel unanswered. There will be seasons when progress feels painfully slow. In those moments, remember this: a strong mind is not built to impress the world. A strong mind is built to endure it with grace. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to move faster than your season. You don't need to win every battle to live a meaningful life. You only need to stay sincere. Sincere in your effort, sincere in your values, sincere in your faith. Because life is not testing how talented you are, life is shaping who you are becoming. Don't let success make you arrogant. Don't let failure make you bitter. Let both make you grateful. Walk forward with discipline when motivation fades. Sit in silence when the noise overwhelms you. Choose wisdom when pain tries to harden your heart. Choose gratitude when the mind starts complaining. And surrender when control begins to steal your peace. Remember, you are not here to control life. You are here to grow through it. When the mind is strong, you don't fear uncertainty, you don't chase validation, you don't lose yourself in comparison, you walk steadily, you serve sincerely, you trust deeply, and that is real success, not a position, not applause, not possessions, but peace within, clarity of purpose, and the courage to keep going. With humility in your heart and faith in your steps. Build a strong mind first. Everything else will follow. Life will test you, shape you, and sometimes shake you, but it will never abandon a sincere heart. You are not here by accident. Your journey is not random. Every challenge you face is shaping the strength you will need tomorrow. So walk forward with faith, not fear. Do your duty with discipline and leave the results to God. When you fall, rise with humility. When you succeed, bow with gratitude. Remember this, you don't need to control life to trust it. When your intentions are pure and your effort is honest, even delays become protection, even struggles become preparation, and even detours lead you closer to purpose. Build your life on faith, anchor your mind in truth, and let your actions serve something greater than ego. Because a strong mind guided by faith does not just survive the world, it uplifts it. And when you live that way, no matter where you go, you will walk with peace in your heart and courage in your steps. That is a life well lived.